So we've been through a little bit of your wrestling. We've talked a little bit about your anime. What made you decide that it was finally time to step away from professional wrestling?
Um, when I was walking to my car and my knees locked up so bad that I had to like kind of peg leg my way into like going to like the gym, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, my knees hurt so bad. I talked about it a while ago where I was like. I was a teenage runaway, partied a lot, then I joined the military, then I was part like my when I was in the military, I was airborne, which meant like we would jump off planes and then like parachute to the ground and stuff. So that's not good for your knees. So before I even became a pro wrestler, I was already injured. I was like hurt. I was already like living on borrowed time. And I knew I wasn't going to have a long career either way. So whatever I can do now, I might as well go hard. And I did. And it probably sped up the process. Like, there's a lot of reasons why I left, political socio-political climate like it's part of it, just having like not a lot of opportunities that's willing to take me seriously because of like um the current political climate, like that's a part of it. Getting old, it's another thing, and being scared is another thing, not being able to handle a lot of like the like like I'm a micro celebrity, not like a full on celebrity, a micro celebrity, which means like if I go out to like Target today, no one's gonna recognize me. There's like a 1% chance I was gonna get recognized. So like I don't have to deal with like what like Batista deals with,
Right.
but I will say this: there are still like stuff that I have to deal with. I've had to deal with stalkers. I've had to deal with stalkers. I've had to deal with stalkers. Like it got bad. It's gotten bad for sure. So, and it gets to a point where like I had to move. I had to move to a different city because I'm like, all right, I'm not like I got doxxed and stuff. So like that wasn't fun. So there's been a lot of like stuff I've had to deal with. That I'm figured like, okay, well, I don't know if it's healthy for me mentally to keep going right now. Plus, I have like my surgery coming up, and the from like my consultations, they said that it's inconclusive whether or not I should even come back. So I figured instead of like leaving it up in the air, like what if I just put an exclamation point on it now? While I could still walk, while I still had control, before I hate wrestling, before I get old and bitter and jaded and start a podcast about how wrestlers these days only do flips, brother. Like, you
Yeah.
know, yeah, I didn't want to become like that. Like, I didn't like. I've seen people become jaded. I've also seen people like change who they are, everything about them to the point they don't know who they are because they're trying to appeal to a mass market. They're trying to like seem marketable, and they're miserable. And I realize, oh crap, I'm doing the same thing. I'm putting myself out there hoping that the entirety of like the internet accepts me, that I can and I don't have a personality of my own because I feel like I have to be perfect in front of everybody, and that pressure just doesn't sit right with me no more. And also I just think that if I'm really going to do T4T wrestling, which is what is next for me, and it's easier for me to like focus on doing it for the right reasons if it's not about me, and it can't be about me because I'm retired.
Right. We're
You gave it the
definitely going to
perfect
get into T.
transition. Yep.
Hold on. We're going to get into T for T, but I wanted to piggyback on some of the stuff that she said there because Walter and I were in Vegas for Mania Week. I've told you in our correspondence we met, a
Hmm.
couple of times, and it's like being there, seeing the Sandman's final match, seeing Vampiro's final match, and then seeing your final match. Yours was the only one that got me emotional.
Oh,
And I don't know if it's because Vampiro and Sandman seems to just kind of like be macho about it and take it, as men do, and kind of walked out of there, and watching you get emotional. So talk about the feelings that were going through your body after it was over. What made you get that emotional? Like, if you want to peel back, because we don't want to get you emotional on the air here, but like, just talk about what was going through your brain in that moment after that final three count.
Go for it. I'll get emotional right with you because I already feel it.
Uh,
Like, was it a sense of it's finally over? Was it a sense of I'm at peace with my body of work? Was it a I'm looking forward to the next chapter, as you mentioned about T for T? Like, what was kind of just going through your mind in that moment?
it's like weird. It's like disappointment and relief. Um,
Why disappointment?
uh, when I started wrestling, I was capable of so much more cool moves. It says we're going back in the cool moves department right here. Or when I was doing those deep early DPW shows, when I was doing stuff in 2021, I was doing corkscrews and flips like like with no effort. Like I would never practice these things, and I would just be able to do them. And like I thought to myself, I'm invincible. And then I transitioned and my body changed and I got injured and suddenly these cool moves I used to like love doing every single week are no longer accessible to me. And I remember walking up to that match at WrestleMania weekend just thinking like, come on, get some of these moves back, get some of these cool moves back, like. And by the time I got to that curtain, I'm like, just hang in there, like just survive these three other tough competitors, and just make sure that like you don't get emotionally overwhelmed, and just break down before the match ends. But yeah, I was just as much as I tell people like, yeah, at least I got to retire, like walk myself out of the ring and be happy, like that I'm not like falling apart. There's also a part of me that's like I definitely think that I wanted to show the world a different version of me and I never got there again. So that's what I was sad about. Um and I was also like really sad that like, I was thinking I hope people don't think I'm walking away because I'm tired of this. I hope people don't think that this is me losing my love, my like to quote Shawn Michaels, I lost my smile, brother. Like no, like that's not that. It's so much more than that. And it was one of those decisions where I always thought I regret it. Like I thought to myself, like, yeah, give it like a month and you're gonna be missing it, and I do miss a lot of it. I miss traveling every week, and I miss like yeah, like working on my craft and stuff. But by the end stretch of that match, I couldn't bend my knee, and I'm like,
Mm,
well, that's how I know I made the right call, because I am a wrestler that used mostly kicks. I actually have a match that I did where I only did kicks. So like,
mm,
and when your body fails you, then that's how you know. Like, all right, like you got like like it's we're in Vegas. You got to know when to fold them. You got to quit before the house wins, because the house will always win. And in this scenario, the house means age. House means time. House means your body deteriorating, and you're having to like and on top of that, I'm transitioning, so my body's chock full of like things that are like I always thought it was funny that like everybody thinks wrestlers put on steroids so they can get fit and stuff. I'm putting in my body the opposite of steroids. I am
mm,
putting T blockers in my body, which means my
mm,
testosterone level is going like lower than most people. So yeah, like I was already going to struggle like physically moving forward, that I I didn't want to like retire like 5 years from now and I could barely like wrestle. Like, like at
mm.
least when I retired, I'm still able to like, somewhat like wow the audience with my stuff. And the match was good. Like I didn't like, it was very emotional for me after the match for sure. Like, once I got backstage, I'm like, all right, I need to find a corner. That's when I'll really, really cry. But But as far as like that feeling in that ring, I was just like, wow, this could be it. I might be done, like for good. Like, I told everybody I ain't coming back. Let me soak it in. Let me remember this moment. And I remember just thinking, I know we're out of time, but I'm gonna climb that turnbuckle one more time because I don't know, because I might never get the chance to get that adoration like
Mhm.
post match anymore, and just be able to like go out on your own terms. Not People don't have that luxury all the time,
Yeah.
and in a time where being queer in like the industry feels more and more challenging, despite the fact that it's also being celebrated. Like I I was afraid people were gonna think I'm running away. Like, I was afraid that people are gonna look at my decision to like retire so early. Like, I've only wrestled for 4 years. Like, mind you, like I was only in the business for 4 years, and people don't like. It's not like I have like a extremely debilitating injury. Like, I had like a farewell match. I had the world tour like just the year before. I was at the top of my game. But sometimes things are better when they're short and sweet, right?